Well, guys, it is the last day of August and it's time to do a garden tour. Well, August has passed in a whirlwind. As usual, we are behind, but our garden is also behind, so we're good on that. But things are growing like mad because we've had cool, wet weather. I mean, you can see the sorghum behind me here. It's tall, not putting heads on though, which is concerning. And I think that is just due to the cool temperatures that we've had. But anyways, let's start the tour and show you around. Well, we're going to start the tour back here in what I'm sad to say is potatoes. The other side here is also potatoes. I did a much better job at keeping the weeds out of these, and as you can see, they've still got tons and tons of greens. I believe these ones are the russet potatoes. I could be wrong. We didn't mark anything. That's how we roll. But they're not ready to come out yet, so that's good because I'm not ready to pick them. Our squash next to the potatoes here, and our gardening cat, has really perked up this late summer. So we'll see if I can show you in here. Oh, there is squash. Look at that. Canada crookneck in here. So hopefully we get a nice September and all these beauties will ripen. I believe I've counted about 14 of them so far, and I really haven't gone in and dug around too terribly much. Our bean trellises are a little bit worse for wear. Again, just weed pressure, I think, combined with temperature. Those are red cranberry beans, and as you can see here when we zoom in, they have beans on them, but not a lot. I've been leaving a few of these first year burdock in here. I want to harvest the root out to dry and to make some tincture this fall. So there is a reason for some of the weeds, but not all of the weeds. As you can see right next door, more weeds that don't need to be there. I seem to be really upsetting this song sparrow. One thing though I don't know I can capture is how beautiful these sunflowers look. The plants are in incredible shape, but no heads on them yet. So I think the sunflowers are going to be a fail again this year. I don't think they're going to have time to ripen into seeds. I'm not even sure what to say. We keep trying all different ones, but I think we're going to end up just going with the black oil sunflower seed from the bird seed, because you know what? That one grows everywhere. The birds drop the seeds and there it is, sunflowers. But when we plant these type of mammoth ones, we just don't get anything. But they're super tall and gorgeous. I'm going to see if I can capture that for you. One thing that we are super impressed with though is the Lima beans. I'll be honest, there's only about 10 plants on this, it's probably about 15, 16 feet trellis, but look at the pods on it. All along here, it's just, these are so prolific. But as you can see, they're still flat. There's not really any bean development yet. So hopefully we start to see some soon, because otherwise these are a no-go as well. Well, my San Marzano tomatoes are starting to turn. I think, I sense a tomato harvest and preservation video coming. Just kind of weighing in and showing what we're going to do with all these beauties. Unfortunately, some are falling off onto the ground, so I'm going to have to come and collect those before worms and things get at them. But all in all, this is going to be pounds and pounds of tomatoes this year, which I'm super excited about, because I have a lot of paste products still to make. And look at this. We actually have ears of corn developing. Maybe we will get corn. I was skeptical. I thought it was going to be a complete write-off, but maybe, just maybe, we will get some. I will admit I am nervous as to just how many tomatoes I'm going to end up with here. Look at that side of it. There is a lot of tomatoes on these. We have 3 16-foot trellises. Look at the green ones there. Prepare yourself for some sauce making videos. Well, the Cherokee Trail of Tears black beans are doing amazing, as was anticipated. We've got tons already turning on the vines, and I think I may start harvesting some of these for green beans, because up top here we've got tons of green beans, and these are delicious as green beans as well, because those are not going to ripen. I'm thinking that I may have to harvest our millet today. Look at it. Ooh, I don't want to lose this. Look at that. Some of it's still green though, so maybe it still needs a little bit longer. But it's sure getting close. The Sesame Experiment is going quite well, I would say. Not sure if we're going to get anything, because we're testing it to see if we have a long enough season, but if you look closely in here, there are pods developing on here. See? And we round off this part of the garden tour with our lettuce, which is still doing amazing, and I have more to transplant. There's a few onions left in this row, but most have been pulled out. This celery is looking absolutely gorgeous, unbelievable. And our rutabaga row, which I will admit it had a rough start, but it really kind of blossomed back, so hopefully with a good fall we will get some decent rutabagas. Well, next part of the tour is the garden that is by the barn. There's not a lot in this one because it was mostly our garlic and peas, which are already been and gone, but I'm still going to show you what's left that has to be harvested. Basically, we have our pineapple tomatoes looking good. There's a bunch on there ready to harvest. Next to them was our Violet Queen potatoes, which I'm going to get them out because, as you can see, they have completely died back, and a few of them are actually exposed on the top, and we don't want to leave them for too long, so we're going to get them out. I'm not even sure what to say about these eggplant. They look amazing. They are covered in blossoms, but no real fruit yet. So maybe with a long September we'll get something. Like I said, they're covered in blossoms and covered in bees. And then the last thing still in this garden is the Scotia tomatoes. And as you can see, they are ripening with a bang. I actually only did 4 Scotia tomatoes this year because I did not think I needed the juice. And I'm glad they're doing well because we've actually consumed a lot of the juice in some of those stews and things that we were making earlier this summer when I didn't have tomatoes. So we will be definitely juicing these guys. Now we're into the raised beds, and as you can see, our beans are now going to be dried beans, which is exactly what we wanted these for. We picked off what we wanted in the freezer for green beans and canned some, and now it's time to have them dry out. But one of the reasons that we're fine with those other beans going to dried beans is because here comes the noodle beans. This is why I love planting noodle beans, because they're always late, and these ones don't work for dried beans. So they are perfect because we're the end of August and we're about to start harvesting them just when everything else is pretty much dried up and done for bean production. Or fresh bean production, I should say. And as we get over here, we've got both on the trellis, our yellow pear tomatoes and the noodle beans. And as you can see, we have one heck of a harvest that needs to be done of these yellow pear tomatoes. I'm not going to go through everything here on the blue barrel front, but everything's doing amazing. All the beets, the celery. The only thing that's kind of dying back a little bit is my parsley, but I'm not too worried about that. I've harvested a lot of it. The sugar beets are a little bit slow this year, but hopefully we get a decent harvest in end of September for those. And the stevia, I need to harvest some more of that and get it drying in the dehydrator. And just a quick look down the other side. It's so lush and green this year. On this side, yes, I know, lots of weeds, but is our kale. And it's looking great. We need to get some more of that into the freezer. Unfortunately, I think I may have left some of my carrots too long. And look at that, we're getting seed heads. So I'm going to figure out which one this is quickly here and pull it out. Hopefully it comes out easily enough. Ah, short and stubby. None of the others seem to be going to seed at the moment, but I will start keeping an eye on this. But I'm going to eat that one for lunch. And kind of rounding off the raised bed garden here, we've got our cherry tomatoes. These are a gray sweet cherry. Only planted 2 plants this year, but had a couple volunteers, so she's still filling the trellis. And on the other side, look at those scarlet runner beans. Just wonderful. And the last garden stop on the tour is the one beside the barn. Here you can see my Palestine tomatoes. These ones ripen really quite early, and I love them because they're huge, big, can be used for paste or for slicers. I see something has eaten one. Ooh, chickens better not have been in here. But they're almost finished, so I can see I need to harvest some though. And next to them is our row of summer crookneck, yellow crookneck squash. In between each one of these plants is a hill, like you can see this gap right here, that has Yukon Gold potatoes, which need to be harvested because the greens have completely died back. So maybe I will get to that in our harvest video. Believe it or not, all the way along here are 2 rows of our all blue potatoes. You can just sort of see some peeking through here. I think pretty much all of our potatoes are going to be ready to harvest thanks to our lack of keeping the weeds at bay. And here we have our mung beans. Very interesting way to produce their beans. I'm very curious to see if we get product from these as well. This is an experiment that Chris is doing. There will be a video to follow once we have the results. And here we have a whole bunch of Manitoba tomatoes on the ground that desperately need to be harvested. I need to come back out and do this afternoon because this is terrible. But the plants just died right back, like disintegrated to nothing. It was very peculiar. Not had any of our other tomatoes do this. Well, that is the tour. Yes, I whipped over a few things, but it's a big garden and I didn't want it to get too long. But basically, as you can see, all our tomatoes are really starting to come now, which is fantastic. It just means we've got a lot of preserving to do. And definitely some cleanup to do in these gardens before fall because we can't let these weeds remain. So stay tuned, hold us to this, and make sure that we get this garden cleaned up before winter comes.